YouTube, it's me, Predaking79, back with another Generation 1 Transformers review. It's been a very, very long time since I did an actual proper review. The last video was a massive G1 Pretender haul, so I can't really count it as a proper review as such. But I thought I would finally get around to doing Computron, who I've been meaning to record a video for a while for this guy, but never got around to doing it. He's not quite 100% complete, so if you're looking for a complete review, then go elsewhere. But he's very, very nearly complete. I'll tell you what's missing. Nose Cone's missing one of his missiles, the other one that goes here, and his small gun. Strafe is missing his small gun. The rest, everything else is complete. So, you know, it's as close as I'm going to get it for now. But the Technobots are fantastic. Let's look at them individually to start off with. Let's start off with my favourite, Strafe. I never had excuse me, I never had the Technobots as a kid. It was the only Autobot combiner I didn't have. I didn't have any of the limbs at all. But my friend had a couple of them and I really wanted him, but I never got around to getting him, sadly. Strafe is almost my favourite one. I just thought he looks really cool. As a kid, saw him in a local toy shop. Wish I'd got him, never did. Boo-hoo. But it was great to finally get him as an adult. And of course, Computron was the last Autobot Pretender. Autobot Combiner to come out in 1987. There's only 3, wasn't there, with Defensor and Superion. But Computron was very, very cool, very, very different to, you know, obviously the other combiners that we'd seen so far. So that's Strafe in his robot mode. Does come with a third little gun as well. But he looks fine like this. You know, I've got no inclinations of getting the other little gun. I'm not a completist when it comes to combiners because the little guys, you know, you very rarely. I always display them in combiner mode, so it seems silly to spend silly money on all the guns and stuff when they're just going to sit in a box. But yeah, you can have the other little gun and those bits pointing on the top, you know, on the top of his shoulders if you want to. It looks stupid and looks much better like that. Nose Cone, who comes with 2 of these, as I say, which would peg in there and there. You can't use them in robot mode. So, you know, again, I've got no massive rush to get them. I might get them at some point, you know, but for now, I'm not too fussed. And his arms just pop up like that. He hasn't really got any proper hands, this guy, sadly. His gun pegs in there. And you obviously can have it in either hand. But you can't really have these displayed. You can't really do much with these in robot mode. You know, you can't store them like that, because if you do, you can't stand up. It would be nice if you had sort of a peg there you could put on his shoulder or something, but you can't, so they just sit in a box if you want to have them in robot mode, or indeed in combiner mode. There we go, that is Mr. Nose Cone. Probably the weakest of the 5 Technobots, I think. You know, drills aren't as cool as jets and fast cars, and what is ultimately the light cycle from Tron, I think. Afterburner. Very, very cool, this guy. Look how tall up he is. I don't know if those are supposed to be cannons or not, but certainly, you know, he's got his missile launcher there. Big old cannon here. Looks awesome. He has a small gun, which I do have. When I got it, I thought, oh, that's going to peg in there and for even more firepower. Unfortunately, it doesn't fit. It hasn't got a peg on the end. That would have been nice, you know, a nice touch just to sort of stick on the end like that. But anyway, let's go ahead and transform him. Very reminiscent of the light cycle from Tron. Looks quite a lot like Combiner Wars Groove does now. So I wonder if he'll get repainted into Afterburner at some point. Probably will do. Everything's getting repainted these days, isn't it? There we go. And that peg's in there. He's got a peg on that hand as well, but you can only hold it in that one really, because if he holds it on this one, it's going to be upside down. So, no, anyway, let's put it in the right hand. There we go. Again, with his attack mode weapons for his vehicle mode, you can't display those in robot mode at all. you know, he's going to fall over if you do that. So you have to put those to one side as well. And we will move on to Lightspeed. Very nice indeed he is. He's probably the most expensive one of these guys to buy individually. I'll talk about prices properly at the end, but yeah, he's probably the hardest one to get complete. You hear my dog in the background, I expect. Shush, I'm busy. Right, this pops out, and that, I was going to say, this often pops out, comes apart when you do it, but yeah, it just fits back in. And then that becomes his legs. These will all come down. There we go. You have to, the friction point here, there's not much of a gap in between, so these can be quite prone to sort of stress marks here. Keep an eye on that if you get the chance to have a look at a figure before you buy it. These two guns here can be displayed in rebel mode, like so, from his vehicle mode. And then he has a very cool, what looks like a bit like an Uzi, and again, you can only really hold it in that hand, otherwise it is upside down. But it has got a peg at the bottom there, so one of the other figures that has a hand on the top, like Strafe for example, or one of the other Scramble City bots or another set, could hold that gun, which is quite a nice little touch if they wanted to. But there's Lightspeed. Probably the coolest because you can display all the guns on him in robot mode. And then I shall move these guys to one side whilst we have a look at the leader, Mr. Scattershot. There we are. Very bizarre space shuttle mode. And I was just going to say, it has a feature where the gun pops out. Let's show you that again in a more controlled environment. There's a button there, and yeah, there's a gimmick where the gun sort of pops out like that. He's odd. He is odd. He does have a third mode as well, where he kind of turns into a gun type thing. But to be honest, I'm not going to bother going to show you that because it's kind of terrible. If you really want to see what it looks like, I'm sure there are other ways to find it. But yeah, it's different, his spaceship mode, but I'm not a massive fan of it. I just looked a bit weird. But his bot mode is cool, and to do that, you basically, these bits come out. Well, actually, I'd say that they come out for when you combine him, because they hide the combiner pegs, which is quite a nice little touch. But to transform into robot mode, it's literally, stop doing that. That folds out like that. Legs come down. Let's pop this back. It's always a little bit fiddly, this for a G1 ish, fiddly-ish. Twist the torso. Pull that down. Up pops the head. Pull out the arms, or the hands rather, so the arms can then move, and then this becomes like a backpack thing, like so. And I'll just grab his gun, and I will move the camera so you can actually see him. Bear with me. Let's move it back a bit. Oh. There we go. Scattershot in robot mode. This guy's got no stickers at all. I do need to get some repro labels for him because he's looking a little bit bare at the moment. But yeah, he lines up nicely with the other guys. He's obviously a lot bigger at being the torso. I think he's quite a bit bigger than. I'm trying to think of the size comparison to some of the other torso bots. You know, compared to sort of Hotspot, Motormaster and stuff, he's quite big. He's chunky. He's Voyager size. By modern standards, I would say, just about. I've got a modern bot to hand that I can compare him to. So, but anyway, that's all I'm all in robot mode, and Very nice sale indeed. I'll tell you what I'll do. We'll talk about prices and stuff now, and then I'll go ahead and combine him for the individual bots. Things to watch out for. With all these guys, the main thing is with little dudes is the heads. That's the most fragile thing, because obviously they pop into the combiner ports and have a tendency to snap off and break. So that's the main thing to be aware of. Whoops, fingers in front of the camera, not very good. The other thing, of course, is if you're looking for completists, is to get all the bits with them. But that's the main thing, is the heads. Price wise, nose cone's the cheapest. To get a loose one of these guys without any weapons, you'd be looking at under a $5 for nose cone, and the other three, strafe and afterburner, a little bit more, about £7 or £8, and Lightspeed probably close to a tenner. He just seems to be the most expensive of the four. Complete ones, to be honest, they're probably the most expensive combiner bots, apart from Monstructor and the Predacons, to get individually. So to get a loose complete one, you're looking in the region of £15 approximately for nose cone, afterburner and strafe, and then Lightspeed can be over 20, to be honest. I got these guys in a lot for 50 quid, all four of them. The only bits that didn't come with were nose cones, small afterburners, sorry, small gun. So I picked that up individually, but I never got around to getting the other bits. So I did quite well with that, but they're not cheap. They're not they're not like the Aerobots, Stunticons, Predactobots, and Combaticons that you can get for very cheap, especially if you don't want all the little guns and stuff. Scattershot himself, a complete one, you can pay about 40 or 50 quid for one, to be honest. Mine, how much did I pay for it? I think it was about 25 or 30, but yeah, you can quite easily pay sort of over 40 quid for him. So to piece build, you're looking at well, you're looking at over 100 quid, to be honest, 120 quid, and even a complete Computron with all his bits isn't going to be much cheaper than that. So he is expensive, but he's very, very cool. But anyway, we shall enough of this, and we shall combine him into Computron. Right, let's build all the limbs first of all. I tend to keep Strafe's guns, on him. Basically turn him back into a jet. Easy peasy. Spaceship, whatever he is. Spaceship. Okay, so that is like so. And that's obviously going to become the arm port. I'll just leave that like so. That's going to be one of his fists. There we go. It's going to be one of the arms. Afterburner is the other arm, and it's literally just head forward like that. There we go. That's going to be the other arm. Lightspeed. Let's remove all these bits. He's going to become the other leg. Well, the first leg, I should say. Like so. He actually goes on backwards, which is kind of a bit weird, but he's like that. And then nose cone. We'll just transform him back into almost back into vehicle mode. But we'll just leave that exposed, and that pops in. He's got two holes in the bottom there. Don't know why he has two, but he does. So that's the one. Like so. So legs and combiner mode, torso mode. Basically, we don't do a great deal. Put the head on, fold those down, fold those down. Obviously, the combiner ports on the bottom there, and they pop in like that. we go, and then arm, and then other arm. Lovely gun. And last of all, chest piece just slides in there like that, sort of clicks in, and there you have Combiner Mode, Computron, looking very, very cool. I love that he's kind of asymmetrical with, you know, Strafe's big guns on one side and Afterburner's wheels on the other. If you move him to look at the side, he kind of has one foot further forward than the other, just by the way the combiner pegs, the holes in the bottom of the limbs allow for the feet. So he does kind of have a little bit of a, almost as if he's kind of walking forward slightly. But he's very, very nice. Dog making noises again. Dog, silence. Apologies. Yeah, he's great. He's my favourite of the later combiners, I'd say. The later combiners, but from 87 onwards, he's probably my favourite. I just really like him. He's so different to any of the other ones. At the time, everything else was sort of monsters, wasn't it? You know, with the Seacons and the Terracons, who are awesome and cool as well. Both of whom I need to review as well at some point. But there's something different about Computron, and because I never had him as a kid, he was kind of more exciting, more of a big deal when I finally got him as an adult collector. Yeah, I'd say it cost me, and I'd say it's not quite complete, but I've probably spent 80 quid on him. If I want to get the other bits, that's going to cost me, you know, another, well, 20, 30 quid. Can I be bothered? Probably not, to be honest, because he's always displayed like this, and, you know, hey, we shall see. But yeah, if you want to build them individually, as I say, you can do that, and that might be slightly cheaper. There is, of course, another option with Computron. He's never been re-released as such, but there is a KO set. The Zongjin Chinese company that makes KO G1s, some of which I've owned and are pretty decent quality, some of which are pretty lame, but apparently the Computron one is rather good. You can get him on iOffer for about 60 quid, including shipping, and apparently it's, you know, it's a pretty decent copy. Or you could spend an extra 40 odd quid and get an original one. It's totally up to you. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that quick review. He's definitely one, if you're a G1 collector, you'll definitely want to get Computron at some point. He's certainly not cheap. Maybe one day we'll get a decent updated version of him. It looks like the Combiner Wars one is going to be just a torso and a repaint of Superion, so extremely disappointing in that regard. But the original G1 figure remains amazing. Thank you very much for watching. I've been PrettyKing79, and I will be back at some point with another G1 Transformers review. Bye for now.